to Use It or Lose It, where I help you keep food out of the landfill and get every penny out of your food dollar. Sorry it's been a long time since I've posted a video, but I went on a 2-week vacation, and you know what that means? Clearing out the fridge. So it's taken me this long to actually have some stuff that needed to get used up. Everything was fresh when I restocked the fridge. It was very sad. My fridge hasn't been so empty since I moved in. But anyway, so I found myself with a little bit of spaghetti squash left over that needs to go. It's been in there for a couple weeks, so it's definitely time to move it along. I had part of a green pepper, some onion. What we're doing today is we're making another spaghetti squash casserole, but this one's a little different. You know I love the Italian flavor profile. This is going to be like sausage and peppers in a casserole format. So I recently got some hot Italian chicken sausage on sale. It was a really good deal. I couldn't resist. And then I always think of peppers and onions when I think of Italian sausage. So we're going to kind of throw it all together. So what I've done is I sauteed my onions and green peppers, and I didn't dice them finely. I kind of wanted to have it larger chunks similar to that Italian sausage and pepper sandwich kind of thing. I added mushrooms just because, hey, mushrooms make Italian food always taste better. And then added the chicken sausage. I cut it up into half rounds just so it would spread more evenly throughout the dish. And to hold together our sauteed vegetables and sausage and our spaghetti squash, I used my good old standby yogurt and egg. So you may be asking yourself, why do you use yogurt and egg as a binder in a casserole? Well, when you use yogurt alone at high heats, it breaks down, it comes out all grainy and oogy. But when you add an egg, that stabilizes the yogurt, not unlike mayonnaise. And so then it holds it all together, and it kind of puffs up a little bit because the egg is sort of like a leavening agent. So now we're just going to mix all that stuff together. I've prepared my baking dish because it's only a small amount. So I've got a layer of jarred tomato sauce on the bottom. We're going to mix together our sauteed vegetables into our yogurt and egg mix. And of course I seasoned those vegetables with Italian seasoning and garlic powder. Now we're going to add our spaghetti squash to that. Some recipes like this tell you to just mix the spaghetti squash and binder separately from the vegetables, but I'm just going to mix it all together because, hey, that's how I roll. And especially because it's a small amount. So mix, mix, mix. And once we get this in the oven, as usual, I'm using my little toaster oven. Really what you're doing is you're just making sure that the casserole is heated through, that binder gets cooked and it puffs up a bit. And then for the last few minutes, we're going to add our mozzarella cheese on top, because if you add it too soon, then it's going to get burnt because you're waiting for the other stuff to happen. And hey, if you want to add Parmesan, add Parmesan. But this is how I like it. All right, so we're going to dump that on our tomato sauce layer. And then we're going to add another layer of tomato sauce. Oh, look at that, it fits perfectly. This is one of my superpowers, knowing the right container just by eyeballing the food. Right, make sure that gets Spread evenly. Then we're gonna add our second layer of tomato sauce. Another nice thing about this is like, wow, I don't really need to measure because you're just kind of dumping stuff together. You can use up the rest of that jar. Make sure there's a nice layer on top. And get it all smoothed out. Okay, so now ready to go in the oven. So this is going to probably, based on its weight, boy is it heavy, it's going to take a good 20 to 30 minutes to get to the point where we're ready to put the cheese on top. And here's a quick tip about grated cheese. And I'm sure you've read this before, but you're better off buying a block of cheese and grating it yourself, because when you buy the pre-shredded stuff, they treat it with something to keep it from clumping in the bag, and that kind of prevents it from melting as well. So when you do it yourself, and see, I just got it in my container, it melts much more nicely because we want that gooey, cheesy layer on top. So I'll be back in a little while when this is ready to come out of the oven after I've added the cheese layer. I'll see you then. Okay, so I let that sit in the oven for 30 minutes and then I put our cheesy layer of mozzarella on top, and I'm letting it cool for a few minutes so that it sets up a little bit. You know, if you cut into it too quickly, it's still a little bubbly and wet and stuff. So here's hoping that it's set up properly. And here's what the finished product looks like. Look at all that cheesy, tomatoey goodness. So let's dive in. Cheesy. Whew. Well, there's a lot of liquid at the bottom of the dish, so I suspect I should have squeezed out that spaghetti squash, because that plus the sauteed vegetables let loose a lot of water. So, my bad, but I bet it's going to taste delicious. So you can see here, we have our layers of tomato and spaghetti squash. I've got some nice pieces of squash here. Ooh, super cheesy. Delicious. So, wet bottom aside, it's fantastic. So, when you find yourself with some spaghetti squash that's got to move along and some Italian sausage or, you know, ground beef, whatever meat you want to put in there, I will say probably I should have gone with the recommended method of mixing the yogurt and egg with the spaghetti squash and making the layer of sausage, peppers, and onions in the middle between two layers of squash. That would have been better, and I had a little too much tomato sauce on top, but it still tastes great. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!